Okay, hey everybody. I just wanted to say that I am so sorry for how late this video is. I have been so busy lately and getting things ready for the fall and school and everything. And I just kind of wanted to talk about my thoughts on the trailer to The Black Phone 2 that came out a while back. And I am so sorry for how late this is. But The Black Phone is one of my all-time favorite movies in the horror genre. I really loved how it was focused on the characters and the story of the characters. It was really driven by them, it was really focused on what they were going through, and I loved that aspect of it. From Finney, Gwen, and even to the Grabbers' victims such as Robin, Vance, Bruce, Billy, and Griffin. And I really loved the acting by the entire cast of that film. And it's actually my favorite movie that came out from Blumhouse under Universal. And I honestly remember when the announcement for The Black Phone 2 came out, and I was thinking, I am very curious how they're going to be doing this. How are they going to make a sequel to The Black Phone? And I remember on social media, there were these teaser spots that were appearing of footage, and then the announcement of the trailer, and that got me even more excited, especially because I loved the first one so much that I was really excited to see my favorite characters again and what happens to them since the first movie. And so when this trailer came out, I saw it and I honestly really loved it. The way it mixed with the song Rooster by Alice in Chains, which is such a good song. And the very first time that I heard that song was in Terminator Salvation, which is actually one of my favorite films in the Terminator franchise. But anyways, I really loved how that song was used in the trailer for The Black Phone 2. And even how they do it with the clips of the movie in the trailer with the song. And it really haunts you, It was such a haunting sound with the footage, and I loved it for that. Not just that, but the trailer also reminded me of another horror villain in an iconic franchise, especially with where we're seeing the direction of the Grabber in the sequel. And that franchise is Nightmare on Elm Street, and more specifically, Freddy Krueger. And the reason why is because of the Grabber and even the element of dreams that's in the trailer we got, which really reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street. Especially because of the elements of dreams that's in the trailer with the character Gwen, and when she tells Finney that she had a bad dream. And even with what's happening to Gwen in the trailer, it really reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street, especially the first one. And so not just that, but I also think it's really interesting where they're taking the story of the characters from what we have seen in the trailer alone, and with the aspect of dreams that's there. And even not only that, but where they're taking the Grabber and Gwen and even Finney. So I also want to say that there are scenes in the trailer where you see the winter cinematography, and that honestly fascinates me because I honestly do have a theory that I'm going to be talking about. So the theory that I have is that they might be setting it around Christmas time or even on New Year's Eve. I could be very wrong about this, but it makes me wonder and think and have the theory of they're having the story take place in that time frame. And I also am going to say that two of my favorite horror films that take place on Christmas is Gremlins, which is one of my favorite films from the 80s. I love Gremlins. And I also really loved the movie Whoever Slew Auntie Roo, which is a version of the Hansel and Gretel story. And both of those I honestly really recommend. And I love the way they did the Christmas element in those films. So I'm wondering if there's any holiday elements in the Black Phone too. You never know. But that's a theory that I'm probably going to be finding out even more so whenever I see this movie in theaters. And I think that another theory that I have is that with the element of dreams that's in the trailer, that's most likely how he is coming back and haunting Finny and Gwen from beyond the grave, and even the three kids that we saw in the trailer. So those are some like little theories that I have. And I also have got to say that we even saw like a flyer that said Alpine Lake Youth Camp. And that reminded me of another famous horror villain, Jason Voorhees, and Camp Crystal Lake. And that shot and even the direction of the grabber with like on the lake and where they're taking the story, it honestly feels like a love letter to the classic horror films from back then, especially the 70s and the 80s. And I'm really excited to see where they're taking the story, where they're taking the characters, what's going to happen to the characters, and even more so what they're going to be experiencing in this next chapter of their lives. So those are my thoughts and even a few theories that I have and how I feel about the trailer. And I am honestly super excited to see this movie in theaters in October, on October 17th. I can't wait, and see y'all later, Gators.